Hey, thanks for checking us out. This is Sports and Other Stuff. You can find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We have a new episode every week. We have more than 100 in the can, so check it out. Thanks for being a part of it. Just subscribe. Thanks a million.
T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
That's right. We made it. It's Super Bowl time. Well, almost anyway. Chiefs and Eagles. How about that? The way we all thought it would be. Or maybe not. First off, good to see you boys. Before we lay out our predictions, let's recap those two conference championship games. The Eagles crush the Niners 31-7. Well, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't a crush. The Chiefs eke out a win over the Bengals 23-20. Let's start with that Eagles win. I am sad we didn't get to see a real showdown because Brock Purdy was injured so early in that game. Lugs, how are you? What do you say about Niners and Eagles?
Well, first of all, I was dead wrong. I thought the Niners would take that game. But, gosh, you got to feel for Brock Purdy. I mean, obviously now we know the injury is really bad. He goes out. Josh Johnson comes in, the veteran journeyman. He takes a whop in the noggin. He's out. Then I thought that, at that point, why not just go with McCaffrey? But they didn't. I got to say this. Shanahan, if I'm Shanahan, as soon as that game's over, I'm calling either Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, somebody. I mean, the man has been working without a quarterback. It's crazy. So that game for me was just a game of attrition in a certain sense. And even with Brock Purdy, I don't know that they would have been able to beat the Eagles at this point. But San Francisco, I do think next year is their year. After that, people are aging out. Their price tag will get too big. So they've got to go all in. So I'm saying this is your wild ass prediction. I'm saying Brady. I'm saying Brady. 1 year deal. Go there, win himself another championship, and go on off into the Fox Sports sunset. What do you think, dog?
Wow, that's bold, dog.
That is a very bold prediction. The other part that is really fascinating is usually, not always, because actually, to be fair, and now that I think about it, he didn't really have a link to the Buccaneers, but usually there's a link in terms of some kind of past relationship. But you are right. I mean, he grew up in that area. He grew up, I believe, a 49ers fan. Obviously, the one caveat that we always heard that seems to be a wrench in that is obviously his kids are on the East Coast, and that's about as far away as you can get. I mean, I guess maybe Seattle would be farther, but
Hawaii.
Oh yeah, the Hawaiian team.
No team out there. I forgot about that franchise.
The Hawaiian. I forgot the Rainbow Warriors became part of the NFL. You're right. But anyway. It's okay to talk about this right now because the game, the NFC Championship game, kind of like what Lugs was kind of getting at. I think it was going to be a good game. I thought the Eagles were going to win, but the unfortunate thing on that very first drive, the guy who ended up being the MVP of the whole game was Hassan Reddick. He had 2 sacks, a tackle for loss, and a fumble recovery. But it was that first sack against Purdy where he knocked him on the arm, and he tore his ulnar ligament. Just after that, like Lug said, I mean, Josh Johnson came in, he wasn't great. I mean, you expect that for a guy. I believe that was his third tenure with the 49ers. Actually, the original team he was drafted by Jim Harbaugh. But, and that was really the play of the game. But the other play of the game was just, and I'm not even completely blaming Josh Johnson because obviously he didn't get any reps. But like when Josh Johnson, he fumbled the ball right before, like a little over a minute to go in the first half, and he didn't look at the snap, and the Eagles recovered it, and they went up 21-7. And that was that. This game was over at halftime. It was really over before then, but that was the definitive curtain call for them. And the sad thing is if you look at it, the 49ers defense, they played well. They were just on the field forever.
Yep.
The Eagles ran for 148 yards, but it was like I think their average yard per rush was like 3.5 yards per clip. So it's not like the 49ers ever really gave up. It's just they got worn down. And I just want to give one shout out to Christian McCaffrey, the lone bright spot for the 49ers, 84 yards rushing, a TD, 22 yards receiving. And I'll tell you what, this man maybe never gets a championship, but anyone who doubts, I mean, it's always just been durability these last few years. Anyone who doubts like how special a player is, go watch that 23-yard run for that touchdown where he jumped over a guy, broke like through two tackles, and then his burst. So he showed his agility, power, and bursts just in one big play to get him tied up for a very short time that game.
Landing on one leg at one point there and catching his balance.
Crazy.
It's
just ridiculous. So I just want to give him a shout out. But yeah, it was just the unfortunate thing is we didn't really get a game. It was kind of just an exhibition game.
Okay, follow-up question. There are 32 teams in the NFL. Why are there no good backups except for our friend of the show, Teddy Bridgewater, maybe Chad Henne, and the Red Rifle Andy Dalton? But aren't there 64 good enough quarterbacks to be 1 and 1A on all these teams? Josh Johnson's played for 14 teams. You knew he wasn't going to make it. He's 36 years old. What's going on? What happened?
Well, I mean,
come on, give me some backups.
I like to say the quarterback position in San Francisco. I mean, John Lynch has built an amazing team, except at quarterback. I mean, it's crazy.
To be fair, he was their fourth quarterback. It's
true, but
McCaffrey.
No, I'm saying Trey Lance was their starter. Garoppolo was their second quarterback.
Yeah.
Purdy came in and played exceptional. And that was the other thing that we got denied. We were denied. I think last week showed he wasn't just a starter. He's legit now.
Right.
Is he ever going to be like a franchise quarterback? I don't know, but like he could have built on his stock the way he had played through those 9+ games.
But if we watch any college game in the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, grab any of those quarterbacks, and that's like, let's say 20, any of those guys would have been plugged in there and better than Josh Johnson is all I'm saying. I don't understand this lack of backups, and it's not just here, it's elsewhere. Just tossing it out.
Well, I mean, you do have a limited number of quarterbacks you can have on the roster, even on, IR with the IR and everything else.
Well, actually, that's one caveat I'll pinpoint because on both these games, I think there's caveats. I think they should look at. I know they're probably not going to do well. Maybe this one in this game they will. They need to add another. They need to add another
layer.
Wait, hold on a second. I got to get this phone call.
Is this a real phone call? That's the caller on the line there.
Hello? Are you on the air? Hello? Is he really getting a phone call?
But
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
There is that 3 quarterback rule where it's so many extenuating circumstances that you can keep a third quarterback. It's kind of like when we saw, what was that guy, Josh somebody, who was highly touted, and he's sitting up in the stands just in case.
He's standing by.
Sometimes it hangs up.
T-Dog was called away from a call from the White House, perhaps the Pentagon, and it might have been Sean Sean Payton. We're not sure, but he's back with us now on the Watts line, the GTE Watts
sorry
line.
about
So
that.
go ahead.
And, unfortunately,
quarterbacks.
he might call again because these phones are so dumb. Like I hit call and it hangs up. It's like that's the opposite of what that button's supposed to do.
Well, you're back now, and tell us. Lugs was pointing out that you're limited to 3 quarterbacks maybe on a team, but still, I just think the quality of the backup should have been better than what we saw in such a situation.
Well, I think I'm not kind of completely disagreeing with you, Jay Boy. I guess what I'm saying is I think the rules should be adjusted and also like almost a mandate on a team because they can only have 48 active players.
Right.
They should be given 49, but if they add that extra person to the active roster, it has to be another quarterback. They have to have 3 quarterbacks dressed for the game because a lot of these teams now they only dress 2. And I get that for even maybe the regular season, but for the playoffs, because of how much, I mean, if we want to get into the cynical part, the business of it, like
True.
how many people turned off and like how much are like advertisers probably mad for that second half because the game was over by the first drive of the 49ers. They were done. So
yep.
I think in this rule, like I said, that I think should be at least talked about. I don't want to say it will be made. I think that this one will happen when we get to the second game. I don't think it will happen, but
you ready to go to that second game or anything else on the first?
I will just say for your quarterbacks, where was Jordan Tamu?
Right.
Battlehawks, St. Louis Battlehawks, Jordan Tamu. I'll still stump for that man.
Whew.
Why does this man have a job?
He's probably sitting in the stands. All right, second game. Let's move on to that. Last second field goal by Harrison Butker sends the Chiefs over the Bengals. What about this game, fellas? A lot of people have been babbling on, whatever, about officiating, penalties, this sort of thing. It was a great game. It kept you to the end. I loved it. Didn't like the outcome. Not what I predicted, but what did you think, Lugs?
Well, I get why they would call that penalty for shoving Mahomes when he's out of bounds. I get that. I do not get giving them 5 downs.
Yes.
That kind of, it set off my my sort of conspiracy theorist meter. It pegged it over there into the 110 percentile.
The Roger Goodell conspiracy.
So that I don't get. Also, in the drive before that, Chris Jones, pile drives, your favorite quarterback, slams him down on that concrete, full body on, they don't call it. So there were moments. But the Bengals had their shot.
True.
And Butker had to still make that field goal for the win. But if he had been doing it from the 50, that'd have been a 60-yard field goal. Now, so who knows what would happen in overtime. And just sidebar here, Judge Ito, I'm totally over Tony Romo. That boy, I don't know what he was drinking or smoking, but it was some of the most nonsensical stuff. That one point where it just goes, it was like, dude, use your words. You're paid $13 million, $14 million.
18.
Come up with a 6-word vocabulary, So anyway, bottom line, okay, Mahomes is MVP. I'll give it to him. But you know what? Just looking ahead to the Eagles, I'm just going to say this on a whisper here because you know how it is. It gets out into the world. It's the last season for Ndamukong Suh. He's a mean young man who wants to go out in a blaze of glory. If he gets a shot on Mahomes, it don't matter to him what the penalty is. He is going to take it. So, Patrick, you better heal that ankle up quick and be ready to get on the pony and run from this man. What do you think, dog?
Man, talking about wild ass prediction.
Wow.
Talking about a hit. Talking about a hit.
You're on fire. On fire.
I'll talk about the game first before I talk about the officiating.
Okay.
The game, kind of like what J Boy said. I think the game was great. I think to people that I know for some people it doesn't have enough scoring. I thought it was a perfect amount of scoring. It's usually my favorite amount of scoring, where it's like 2 touchdowns each team, because it's a combination of offense playing a good defense. It's a real cat and mouse game, and that's why I don't really like these 42 to 48 games, because it's just a two offenses squared off against each other, and no, and also vice versa. I don't want to see a 12-6 game. I really don't. But anyway, the Patrick Mahomes in this game, not that it wasn't already on this trajectory. I mean, he's getting that gold jacket, and they're going to play highlights from this game.
Yeah.
Because he clearly was. He didn't show it, but clearly, I think he was hobbled by the injury the whole game. He maybe didn't show it, and then on top of that, losing Kadarius Toney, who at this point is the exemplary version of when too explosive. When so explosive is too explosive. It's actually a problem, because he always gets injured because of how great his burst is.
Too much
torque. He literally always injures himself because of his burst. Juju, and also losing McCole Hartman. I mean, all those guys are kind of. I know they're not Travis Kelce, but they're critical in
Are they day to day or are they out?
That's why I want to. If we might do a prediction on Super Bowl, we at least got one more week. I want to hold off.
Yeah,
yeah.
Me too.
Okay, I want to hold off on my prediction and to see how they are. But and then but still, against a good defense in the Bengals, who've been one of the better defenses all year, he threw for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the most critical was that scamper at the end, the little rushing he did, but it was huge to set up. The game-winning field goal, assisted obviously by Osai's penalty. But again, I did like that Zach Taylor after the game said he wasn't gonna brush it off and try to make him the GOAT, because, like he said, we missed other opportunities. We're not gonna place it on one play. But besides Mahomes, the other MVP of this game was Chris Jones.
Yeah, true.
Chris Jones was a wrecking machine. He had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits, constantly blowing up the Cincy's O-line, particularly that right side, who I know they had 2 backups, which, not surprisingly, KC went at will, just always wrecking things. And another guy that really stepped up was Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had 116 yards receiving and a touchdown. He had the stretch for the first down, which I think, with how the rules are, you want to talk about a suspect, that is a suspect call.
That was sketchy.
That's not how the rules are supposed to be, on the field of play. It's not the same as the end zone. But then he followed up very quickly afterwards by the touchdown pass where he was falling, and Hilton looked like he almost got it. Burrow started off slow just because that line was bad, but I think he really got into a groove after that, and he showed his mettle. And also, I just want to give a short shout out to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Both their big plays showed you why they're going to get paid, because both the touchdown to T. Higgins, that was double coverage. And Joe Burrow just high pointed it to T. Higgins, and he just big boyed it over 2 guys. And it was, it was fourth down, fourth quarter,
impressive
double coverage,
Yep.
No problem for Jamar Chase, for him to sky up and grab it, and that set up the Samaje Perine touchdown. So again, that's why these 3 together, I don't think they're going anywhere. Obviously, we know Burrow's getting paid. We know that that Jamar Chase is getting paid. I feel fairly confident they're going to pay T. Higgins. I don't know how they structure the rest of their team out, but I think he's kind of critical to how they're going for it. And the other thing that hurt them in the game that I just want to bring up is losing Boyd, their slot receiver, really hurt them, because you saw once Snead went out, it felt like they were really targeting that slot spot, and that's when their offense kind of sparked in that game. And to lose him, and to go to Irwin, not going to kill Irwin, but like Irwin's a big drop off from Boyd. So, but it was a great game. And I'll keep this brief on the refs. I thought the Hilton PI was bad. It was bad. I think the stretch on the first down by MVS was kind of screwy, and kind of like what Lug said, it's ridiculous that they
had 2 third downs.
Right? They got 2 third downs. That being said, and I know that's not really throwing those out, everyone acting like it was rigged against the Bengals. If you go back, and this goes on both of them, if it was rigged against the Bengals early in the game, Pacheco scores a touchdown, and they call it back for holding, and they settle for a field goal. KC, why, if they're trying to give everything KC, do they call off a touchdown? And a lot of the holding calls on both sides, they were legit. They go back and they showed that CBS did a good job with the camera work. You go back, they all look legit. Now, did they miss a block in the back possibly on that punt return? I think so, but again, you're talking about like 4 people like trying to watch 22 people on the field, and they're all flying over like a 60-yard area. Like, they're not going to see everything.
So one question, why did they give them that extra third down? I didn't understand what happened right there. I just saw that overhead shot. The back judge or somebody runs in. What happened? Does anybody know?
I have no clue.
I believe it was a clock issue. And because they didn't have the clock set right, they were trying to whistle it so they could get the clock adjusted.
So the clock was off by a few seconds, or didn't start properly, or something.
Yeah. So, but again, there has to be a rule change where if that happens again, you just have a, it's not crazy. You're not talking about finite math. You just take the time that was supposed to be there and add it after the play that wasn't supposed to happen. Or you add it or subtract it. You don't have them replay it down.
5 downs. I mean, it didn't cost the Bengals any points, but it did cost time off the clock, a minute to a minute and a half, and yardage, of course. But
no, because Kansas City was going to have to punt that ball.
True.
Well, they ended up punting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
it did cost field position. I will give you that.
Yeah, and the refs decided the outcome of that game, pure and simple. I've got to say that.
Interesting.
I
don't know if I'd go that far myself.
Now, you could say that each team had their own shots and everything. I get all that. But when you come down to a critical point in a game like that, don't make a call which gives an advantage to Kansas City. And they did make calls that gave Kansas City an advantage on that drive.
The main thing is I'm not protecting the refs, because actually talking earlier about the caveats that I kind of talked to J-Boy about.
We were in the green room before.
Yes, the green room. Well, we were talking about refs. This is the one that probably won't happen because it's going to cost the NFL a decent amount of money. They need full-time refs. I mean, a lot of these refs are guys who are doing well for themselves, and maybe that helps them from being, seduced by possibly bettors or Vegas or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the other caveats why they go this route. But they need full-time refs, and, obviously we're all in this age range, so we're not hating. But, like...
No hating here.
Yeah. Most of the refs are, like, in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and all these guys are in the 20s and 30s and are running on average like 4.7 or below. I mean, they're not gonna see everything. That's why, like I said, I'm not really defending these refs. They definitely miss plays, but when people act like all these refs have a motive to get KC in the Super Bowl, then why do they allow the Bengals in the Super Bowl last year? They could have had KC in last year if they devised ways to get them in.
Because the Bengals flat out won last year.
Oh.
Okay, but I have a question about replay. I mean, we've got a lot of off-season topics to talk about. One of them would be this, but replay, have we gone too far with that when we're frame by frame deciding? I mean, literally, video frames are deciding whether or not it's a catch or not a catch. I think we've gone a little too far with some of that, where to the naked eye, like you said.
But I mean, well, to be fair, going back to the game before, it would have been nice to have because they have people in New York. One of the critical, and it did, again, I think we all agree it didn't matter with the injury to Purdy. It wasn't going to matter anyway.
No.
But the first drive that the Eagles scored a touchdown on.
Yep.
On a fourth down, Devontae Smith had a 26-yard catch that wasn't a catch,
and he knew it.
He dropped it, and he was wise enough to rush him.
He
and
said the
get
secret
playoff.
word, whatever that is, Omaha or whatever.
Yeah. So, but like or also just maybe going forward, they need to use New York more to help these guys on
the
field. Yeah, because it shouldn't be this hard. Some of these calls shouldn't take this long. Like if it needs to go to review, have it be reviewed in New York. So that way, some of the people that maybe get mad at refs, they don't get mad at the refs in the arena because they could be like, hey, I didn't make the call, New York did. Like they just calling the play, down to down. I don't know. But I just think,
go ahead, Lugs. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's so much money riding on every play now.
Sure.
I mean,
Prop
you can
bets.
do parlay bets, everything. What this guy's going to catch, how much yardage, what it's going to be at 6 minutes into the second quarter, all this stuff. So there's money riding on it. And I think I will agree that there is tremendous pressure on those refs. No doubt about it. Tremendous pressure.
Well, and also, I think we brought up on other shows before, we've all been this isn't trying to, because a lot of people have done this. We've been on field level before at like college and professional games. And when you are on the field and watching the play, it's hard to see everything. Yeah. It's 11 people that are all like top level athletes.
Plus, you're on the same plane. You're not above. You're not below. You're on the same plane.
Yeah, so you're not gonna see everything. So like everyone's like, how can I not see that? It's like, well, it's like when you get mad at a quarterback or a player. It's like, oh, well, why didn't he see that hole? Because like he's surrounded by guys who are 4 inches taller than him, and he can't see.
And who are wanting to kill him.
Yeah. So
Ndamukong Suh.
On some level, I know I come off as a ref apologist. I will agree. Like I said, like for the refs in this game for the AFC Championship, hopefully none of them are in the Super Bowl because the third down redo alone shouldn't allow them to be in the Super Bowl.
Well, allegedly, all the refs at this level are there on merit, correct? They're not the same team that they were with all season. It's an all-star team of officials.
And people brought that up before too. And I kind of agree with the people that echo like they should be doing games with what the team they've had instead of having all these people that don't have any chemistry or that some communication misses. And also, just whose role is what, even though that one is a line judge and one's the main ref, they still don't know how to communicate as well as if they operate as a team the whole season.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of off-season topics to talk about. That will be one of them after the Super Bowl. Lugs, you want to do a little sports of yesteryear, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more. Rock and roll,
baby.
All right. Let's bring Lugs in. It's a cold start. Lugs, take it away on sports of yesteryear.
All right, 1924 at the first Winter Olympics, Austrians Helene Eagleman and Alfred Berger win the pairs skating gold medal by beating the Finnish pair of Ludovinka Jacobson and Walter Jacobson by less than 1 point. That's right, 0.39. I would have said the fix was in.
Walter Jacobson was in there?
Yeah, Walter Jacobson. 1938, Australian Championships women's tennis. American Dorothy Cheney wins her only Grand Slam singles title. She beats Dorothy Stevenson of Australia 6-3, 6-2. Now, hang on to your hats, kids. 1953, Major League Baseball. New York, Cleveland, and Boston retaliate at Bill Veeck, owner of the then St. Louis Browns, for his stunts to get fans into the ballpark. Among many other promotions, Veeck arranged for a 65-pound, 3'7" Eddie Gaedel to have one at bat. He walked on 4 pitches. Beck would also later get headlines in 1979 for Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey Park in Chicago.
He would.
That promotion ended in a riot. So, whoop-de-doo, Bill Beck. All right, 1982, 32nd, NBA All-Star Game, Brendan Byrne Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey. East beats West, 121-18. MVP, Larry Bird, Boston Celtics. And finally, 2009, Australian Open Women's Tennis. Serena Williams wins her 10th Grand Slam singles title, outclasses Dinara Safina of Russia 6-0, 6-3. And that, my friends, is another lusty session of sports.
Thank you, Lugs. Walter Jacobson, didn't he work local news in Chicago, Channel 2?
Well, and then you've got the Walter Jacobson who worked for Sports Illustrated, and there's several of them.
Wasn't he also the Sausage King in Chicago too? Was that no? That was Matthew Broderick. He was the Sausage King in.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
What was that movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's it. Ferris Bueller.
Cool.
Bueller. All right, fellas. So that's it. We had the championships games. We've got a Super Bowl on February the 12th. I know maybe you don't want to make a prediction. Lugs, you're going to go out and make it now, or you want to wait a week?
Oh, if I were put on the spot, I'm going to have to go with Philadelphia. I'm sure that Kansas City will get all those receivers back and all of that, but Philadelphia, man, that offensive line will protect, and so our guy Jalen Hurts will be able to run. But I think it's going to be a close game, and you can never count out Mahomes. You really can't. I mean, what he did was absolutely amazing. Kansas City would not be in the Super Bowl if it weren't for Mahomes. It's as simple as that. So,
well said.
Hats off. But we'll see. It's going to be easier to predict probably next week when we know how well these folks are healed up and who's ready to go and who isn't. I was just going to say quickly, though, you got the Kelsey brothers going at each other. So I kind of like that storyline. And then you've got the first time in the Super Bowl, 2 black quarterbacks. For what that's worth, I don't think that, matters one way or the other, but it is a first. There are things to talk about. There are good storylines.
T-Dog, you're going to hold your thoughts on on your prediction for a week?
I
want to see that injury report.
I want to see the injury report for KC because if KC trots out the guys they had at the end of the game, it could get really bad.
All right, let's talk about the coaching changes. We've got some breaking news. Sean Payton reportedly has been hired by the Denver Broncos. We know Frank Reich will be with the Carolina Panthers. And DeMeco Ryans gets his first head coaching job with the Houston Texans. Where do you want to start with that? Lugs, how do you like any of those?
Well, I would have thought that Sean Payton would have waited a year to make his decision. I think once he realized that Brandon Staley of the Chargers is a personal friend of the owner, and they go back years, then he knew that Brandon Staley was never going to leave there. But that one surprises me a little bit. But maybe he can get some more. They've got good players.
But you kind of had him pinned for Dallas, didn't you?
I would have thought so. But again, they got rid of Kellen Moore, which is strange to me in that, he called a good game. It's just Dak Prescott just didn't deliver.
That you're going to say something else.
But again, Jerry Jones is not going to get rid of Dak Prescott or Zach Prescott, as our friend of the show, Dan Issel, calls him.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I love that.
What do you think, Dog? Who's your favorite coaching change here?
We're talking about favorite. I was just going to go through them all. I'll say at the end. Sean Payton. I gave the Saints a lot of grief over because he was great for them. The wide receiver Chris Olave for the rookie. He was great for him. But if you remember, they gave up multiple first-round picks for him last year. And I was like, what are they doing?
True.
This is what they were doing. They knew that Sean Payton they were going to trade him. They were going to get that first-round pick back.
Good point.
So I guess that's why they were okay with it. So I guess I'll eat crow to the Saints. I've been eating a lot of crow this year, and I'll keep eating that crow. It's actually pretty good when you put a little pepper and
cayenne pepper.
Yeah, cayenne pepper on it. But anyway, they got the first round pick from the Broncos, who the Broncos actually got from Miami for Bradley Chubb. Anyway,
it's complicated
for this year. Then next year they get the second round pick in 2024, and also the third round pick in 2024. My bad. The Broncos are receiving the 2024 third round pick. So there you go. They got Sean Payton and a third round pick for next year. So look at that. I don't know what that means, but obviously he's a good offensive mind. But remember, I don't know if they'll be able to keep Giro, their defensive coordinator who was great, but they have a lot of defensive talent. But Sean Payton did go through a valley when Dennis Allen wasn't there with them.
True.
So let's not forget that as good as Sean Payton is, he has to find that coordinator on that defensive side. So, I mean, I'm intrigued. But I think the main reason he took it, guys, is who owns the Denver Broncos now?
Walmart. Well, Walt Ayers.
Yeah. So
action
he
figures.
Was talking about
checkbook.
Yeah, he was talking about $20 million.
Benjamins.
They might be like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's just do it. Let's not go through this. Hey, we're gonna find Matt Rule and we're gonna turn him into something type thing.
Right.
No, let's get Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Let's get a guy who won a Super Bowl. Had a quarterback have 70 plus completions year after year after year. Let's get that.
We'll
guy.
just sell more grass seed and fertilizer this spring. It'll all work out.
Yeah,
in the garden center. Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans is intriguing because
I like it.
He's a very young guy who very quickly, like what he did after Robert Saleh left for the Jets, he took over and they didn't miss a beat and they actually got better.
Cranked it.
Yeah, so but the thing that's fascinating is he was not too long ago actually he was a linebacker for the Houston Texans. So he's kind of coming home in a way. And if you kind of look at some of their draft capital and they have a Stingley, the corner. They don't have a lot of great players, but they have a decent amount of draft capital. They have, I think, a decent amount of cap room, so they can make moves. And like we kind of talked about, outside of the Jags, I don't know what the Titans are doing. Obviously, the Colts, man, if they settle on Jeff Saturday as head coach, good God, I feel bad for Colts fans. So like, I think it's a good hire.
You just hope they give him like 3 years, right? Don't give him the 1 and out or 2 and out. Let's let the man settle in for a little while. Get a cup of coffee and hang out. They've been jamming guys up at Houston for what, 3 of the last coaches? Yeah. All right, go ahead.
And then we got Frank Wright, who excellent. And also, I think
like it.
The reason he got hired first, or why he took this job, I think it was the best job that was available, because I know they don't have a quarterback, which is a problem. But outside of that, you look at like how well they were able to run the ball down the back stretch, how much talent, and I mean they have talent and almost everywhere on that defense. I'm not saying they just need a quarterback, but they almost just need a quarterback. And they're drafting 9th, and I think they have enough draft capital if they want to move up. They can try to get somebody. So, and
plus in that particular division,
yes,
all they've got to do is be competent.
Win 9 games, you're in, baby. 9 or 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think instantaneously he's the most credible head coach.
But didn't interim coach Steve Wilkes get jammed up, fellas? Come on, why did they not give that guy the job?
No, I have no clue about that. But
for what he did,
he deserves.
I mean,
something.
he did get interviewed, and he's currently interviewing for the defensive coordinator position with the 49ers. Again, he can hopefully resuscitate the rest of his career. I'm not saying he didn't get kind of jobbed. I'm not disagreeing with you, Jay Boy, but I mean, he went 6-6. And to be fair to him, someone's like, oh, well, he just went 500. Look what Matt Rule did with that team before Wilkes took over. So, like, it is actually pretty impressive. They had an identity under him. They became a run team. Their defense, outside of that Buccaneers game, where I just think all their corners were ravaged by injuries, and Brady just threw go balls all day to Mike Evans. Other than that, they played well down the stretch.
Well, I think that speaks to him having the locker room. Those players played hard for him, so that's a very positive.
Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with J-Boy. I'm not saying he didn't get jobbed. Hopefully he gets another opportunity to be a head coach. I think if he goes to the 49ers with the talent they have and what he was able to accomplish as a head coach and as a coordinator for Carolina, because, even during those lean years with Matt Rule, it usually wasn't the defense's fault. It's just the offense was always searching for a quarterback. Yeah. So he hopefully gets – because, similar to him, what does Lou he's now, like, interviewing for the job. What does Lou Anarumo have to do to get a head coaching job? I mean, what he's done against the Chiefs with the Bengals the last few years, because, again, they have good players, but, there's not, like, a sexy name on that defense. And for them to consistently usually keep the Chiefs under 30, why isn't this guy getting more love? I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, what else for this week, or shall we save it all for?
Well, I was just going to say about Carolina and their quarterback. Yeah. I'm going to, it's my time for wild ass predictions.
All right, let it go.
I'm going to go with Derek Carr.
Nice,
Derek Carr.
Like it.
So I think Lamar stays where he is. They'll work it out. I would hope they would see the sense of it, but that could change. But I think Derek Carr would be a real good fit for Carolina for the skill positions that they have. They can do some damage.
Plus, it's a low pressure franchise. Not expectations aren't very high. It's in Charlotte. It's not in Vegas. I like that. That's like under the radar, baby, and he can pull that off. That's good.
And he's a good quarterback. He's not great, but he's a good quarterback. He knows the game. He knows when not to screw up. So,
I mean, I don't know his favorite type of quarterback, but if I was to make a prediction on what type of quarterback Carolina goes after, they're going to, and I think they're going to have to maybe give up some draft capital, move up to get it, but they're going to target C.J. Stroud or Will Levis. I think that's the guys they'll try to target.
Well, Levis, would fit into that Phillip Rivers kind of quarterback.
Frank Wright.
For sure.
Right. Offense. I agree.
Yeah, I was thinking Levis would end up at the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's why, like I said, like it's going to be tricky for them because the Texans obviously feel like they're going to draft a quarterback. They're drafting second currently, and the Colts are currently drafting fourth. So maybe they can't move up that high to get above them. But
so who's going to trade for that Bears one pick? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, but also the Bears kind of are in a position where they really don't want to drop below 4. They really want to make a deal with either the Texans or the Colts. It's not that they won't do deal with Carolina, but they want Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, whoever is available at the 4th or 2nd spot.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. Anything else, Lugs? Any tidbits, nuggets, anything else?
No, sir. I think that's a pretty full kind of plate right there.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Sports and Other Stuff, brought to you in part by Farrell Mobile Homes. Yes, cross that money-saving bridge for big savings. On the right going in, on the left going out. If it doesn't say Farrell on the back of your mobile home, you probably paid too much. We know a guy. He's working there tonight. What's that guy's name?
That would be Fish.
Yes.
And this week, pop star Justin Timberlake celebrates his 42nd birthday and the 18th anniversary of the infamous wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl.
What?
Where he ripped off part of Janet Jackson's top. Yes, it's been 18 years.
Wow.
To celebrate the former Mickey Mouse Club member's life, Fish is hosting a karaoke party featuring Justin's biggest hits as a solo performer. Come on down at 1 p.m. this Saturday. Travel back in time with hits like Mira's, It's Gonna Be Me, and more. The best karaoke performer will receive an autographed picture of Justin and Britney Spears from their teen romance period. Oh, they were so cute and such a sweet couple. Look what happened. Anyway, come on down.
We are the Sport Weasels, first in sound, first in service, and first in other stuff. So long for now.